Welcome back into the ASUG News Studio. My name is Tom Whalegum, one of the co-hosts of ASUGnews.com, here at ASUG Annual Conference and Sapphire Now. Well, we've got as you can tell by the socks, a fun panel coming up here with some ASUG members. This is really great to have you all in. On the end is Don Brekkie. Don is with Greenheck Fan Corporation. Don, welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
Probably needs no introduction to most of our volunteers, but Bob Oldrati from Powell Electronics. Bob, welcome to the studio.
Thank you. It's good to be here. I'm providing the comic relief.
Yeah, and much insight. And, you know, the one and only people who have put on our ASUG News socks and wearing in the studio, we appreciate the support.
Not a problem.
And Sharon Kaiser on the end here from Abiomed.
Hello.
Welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
And you're going to bring some sanity to this panel,
I'm
so I
trying,
appreciate
but
it. Yes.
with these two, I don't know.
So we're here. You guys gave a great session on SME, or what SAP considers the SME, and how practical strategies for customers in that set. So we wanted to come up here and just kind of extract some of the best insights that you have from that. And maybe I'll just start in the opener, and I'll address it to Don.
Okay.
80% or so of SAP's customers are actually classified by SAP as SME, and that range, we could debate that all day, but it's
Right.
that's a lot of customers. And in some respects, and some customers will tell you, we don't have the big budgets of the big companies, and we may not get the attention. Do you agree with that, Don? Have you found that to be the case?
Well, actually, my experience is somewhat different, perhaps, than my colleagues here. In this context, we've done a lot of customer references over the years for SAP, both with existing SAP clients as well as prospects for them. And the result of that has been that I've gotten really pretty good support from SAP across the board. Anytime I have a technical problem that I can't get resolved through the normal channels, I'm able to go to SAP and they respond rather quickly. So my experience is very positive, and I think that might be in contrast to some others here, but that's my own.
It's all anecdotal. Sharon, what about you? Are you able to get the support you need?
Yeah, Abiomed actually has a channel partner that we use, and they help us with our day-to-day support, any needs, and if they can't handle it, what we need, they go to SAP, and we do get support. So I've had no issues with that.
Bob, what would be your advice to a customer who maybe does feel that way? We're a small SAP customer, besides maybe wearing some ASUG News socks. To
Get involved in ASUG.
Yep.
ASUG is the great channel for combination of networking, getting in contact and getting to know SAP. But more importantly, you may find that your problem can be solved by the expert who happens to be sitting next to you, which is a fellow user of SAP. So I recommend people get involved. You can use the ASUG discussion forum once you join ASUG and put a question out there, and you'd be surprised how quick and how many answers you'll get from other companies who will help you solve that problem. And it helps to at different events like this at Sapphire, you will meet SAP points of contact, and you get to know them, and it doesn't hurt. I have a nickname within the organization. It's Mr. Network, and that's what I do. When I do reference calls like Don was talking about, I turn that reference call into a networking event. Reference call with me is not going to be a 5 or a 10-minute discussion. It's going to be a half hour, 45 minutes, because I'm going to try and set up that dialogue between the two of us where, if I'm monopolizing time, just tell me to shut up.
Well, no.
Bob can talk.
I knew that.
I have a great example of the power of networking. Had an accounts payable clerk worked for us who had a problem with a payment proposal. Now that's something specific to paying vendors. And she didn't come to IT and said, I got a problem with a payment proposal. Had she done that, IT's first question would have been, what is a payment proposal?
Right.
Their second question would have been, what transaction is that? And the third would have been, can you duplicate that error? She didn't do any of that. She didn't even come to me. She made a phone call to a company, a person she had previously met, different size industry, different size company. As soon as she got on the call and she said, I have a payment proposal problem, they were instantly talking the same language. They solved it over the phone, which is the power of networking, and it's free consulting. What SME doesn't like free?
Right, I agree. Sharon, what's on your SAP agenda right now? I mean, we're here at annual conference, an event like this that's dominated by HANA and mobility and cloud, but you know, for some people it's just not there, not ready for it in the SME set. But I'm curious, what's on your SAP agenda right now? What are you really looking at? What are you working on?
Yeah, there's a couple things actually that I came strictly here to look into. One is we have manufacturing facilities in the US and in Germany, and we have clean rooms. So we have very strict environmental standards for the air quality. And one of the initiatives that we want to tackle this year is making our clean rooms paperless. And we can do that in a variety of ways, and one of the things I'm looking at is mobility. Another thing may be interactive forms. So there's a couple things we're looking at there. And then another key initiative that we have going on is business intelligence and getting the right tools in front of our users so that they can access the data that we've been accumulating since we implemented in 2006. It's in the system, but it can't get out, so they can use it. So we're looking at business intelligence, putting a strategy together, get the right tools, get it in the hands of the users.
But there's also the pressure to maintain what you have already and you know, keep innovating on the SAP platform, whatever that means. I mean, innovation can mean different things to different people. As someone in the SME set, what does innovation mean to you, you know, for your company?
Well, we are a very small company, and we're on an ECC 5.0, so we're not on the latest version. So a lot of the new great innovations that SAP comes out with, we can't yet take advantage of. But there's a lot of functionality that we're not utilizing. So what we found is working with our users in looking at process harmonization, looking at best practices. There's a lot of small incremental improvements that we can make in their daily lives. And that's what the quick wins that we get.
Right. Don, what about you? What's on your SAP agenda?
Well, Tom, apart from the never-ending project list that faces, I think, all IT people, well, I think one of the key things we're trying to figure out is how far we should take the business suite that we bought a number of years ago. And so we're in the midst of HCM, we're doing some SNC, we're looking at some of the SRM stuff and so forth. But now as you come to this event, you see what the strategy for SAP is with respect to the cloud and the acquisitions that they've done. And so we're trying to determine how far should we take our existing business suite in the core, and how should we wait a little bit and see what type of integration we get along with the new acquisitions and the cloud offerings that SAP has. So we're trying to figure out strategically how we should move forward on some of these applications around the core.
Right.
So that's critical for us, I think.
It sounds like project prioritization is, not that it's any less so at a bigger company, but in a smaller company, that's really key. I mean, to have that list, to know exactly, to be lockstep with the business. How do you manage that, Sharon?
We have a governance committee. So one of the things I do at the beginning of every year is talk to each of the functional users and the department heads and talk about what they need for the coming year, what are their goals that they're trying to accomplish, and then together we build you know, what are the priorities as far as projects, and then we have a governance committee that looks at and prioritizes, you know, what can we afford to do, what do we have the resources to do, because one of our challenges is not so much money for projects, it's more business resources to be involved in the projects, because we are such a fast-growing company. A lot of our business resources are heads down on production, and it's hard to get them involved in projects. And again, that's why small incremental improvements, rather than these more large, complicated projects, seems to work better for us.
Right. It's a great point.
Did
Bob,
you ask Sharon what her company makes?
What is your? I did not. What does your company make?
Well, we're in a high technology company. We actually design, manufacture, and market heart assist devices to replace or assist the function, the heart pumping of the blood in the heart.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Hope you never have to use her
Right.
product.
Exactly.
You don't have to know the
Exactly.
name.
Yeah, it's a great product.
Bob, what about your project prioritization best practices there? What's your take on that?
It's whoever will wear socks like this.
Yes. Takes a little bit of doing to think about doing this. I tried to get these two to wear socks, but they refused. I
We
don't know
politely
why.
decline.
Yes.
They said, "Oh, you're not going to do that." Yes, I will. But what I did before I came down was I went around to a couple of the other departments in the company and said, "Look, I'm going down to Sapphire. I'm going to see a lot of new things. What, for your particular department, would you like me to investigate?" So like the people from the warehouse gave me a list, the people from marketing gave me a list, the people from AP and AR gave me a list, and I'm going around trying to answer their questions. And a lot of the things, it's surprising, we're around two things predominantly, mobile and cloud. HANA for a company our size is, at the present time, it is not priced for a small company. It may eventually, but right now it's still priced for the big boys. But cloud and mobility are big issues. So the people in the warehouse wanted to know, what can mobility do for us to make picking easier? We're a wholesale distributor of electronic parts. So those are the kind of things that I've been talking to people about. Ran a panel already on mobility and learned some great insight there from just being the panel moderator. And I've been talking to companies, and see, that's the neat thing. You get to talk to companies that have done it. And you can find out, what were your pain points? What were you trying to solve? I want to know the lessons learned. And the big thing about talking to a fellow company is, and people get upset when I say this, customers don't lie to customers. So if I ask Don, something that he's done, he has no problem in talking to me. I'm not necessarily a threat to him. We're in different industries, so we don't mind sharing. The same thing, but I don't build parts, but
You just break them.
I just break them. That's right. But and I provide comic relief.
Right. Well, that's a great tipping point or starting point to get off on a little bit of ASOG. You've touched on it, Bob. Don, can you talk a little bit about the rewards you get? Do you find it's great to have the community around you, the ASOG community, and has it helped you?
Yes, certainly. That's it goes without saying. Actually, when you come to events like this, you're able to network like the Mr. Network does. And in addition to that, I have to say that ASOG is part of a larger ecosystem of customers that interact with one another. And Bob touched on it a little bit when he said his AP person just called up the other company. And we have situations that occur like that all the time. We'll take calls, we'll call people. Common problem, and SAP may not even be involved at all in this in this ecosystem actually. So it's just an extension of ASOG, I would say, and it's part of just the way things work today.
Right. Sharon, because your company is very specialized in what you do and unique in many ways, do you find you can still pick out commonalities and shared experiences when it comes to SAP and what your business actually needs?
Oh, definitely. There's a lot of things in this part of too. I just got involved in ASUG this last year. Bob recruited me to be a market leader for the small and medium enterprise SIG. And as I became involved, I got this whole Rolodex of people that I can reach out to. Maybe they don't make heart pumps, but they are in manufacturing, or they have issues that are similar to what we face. So now I have a whole group of people I can reach out to with questions and ask how they handle certain situations.
Right. Well, now I've got three of you up here, and I'm going to actually ask for some free consulting. And maybe I can ask you, what does ASUG need to do next? Where do you see ASUG going in the future, and what can we do to help you all facilitate the networking and the education? I would be curious to know what, and I'll start with Bob, maybe I'll start with you. What one thing would you, just one thing, Bob, just keep it, we're running a little low on time, so just one thing, please.
Since Bridget has come on as the CEO, she has done a tremendous job about getting more and more people involved, the quality of the headquarters staff, their ability to participate and help the SIG leaders like myself get the word out, put together webcasts, put together annual events, has been tremendous. So, she has done a tremendous job, and this is not a commercial for Bridget, but facts are facts.
Great.
Yeah, in our particular case, something new that we've done is we really initiated an industry SIG now, and one of my people is chairing that industry SIG. So I think this is something that's a little bit different now, and we like to see more expansion of the industrial slice as opposed to just the small and medium business, for example, or something like that. So as we look at industries, I think there's value in having SIGs for each of the industries to do this influencing as well.
Well, you just bring up a unique point that, you're allowing your people to do that. I mean, as you all know, it's an extra full-time job, pretty much that you all do. So, are you worried about getting the ROI on that, or have your experience has been enough where you know you're going to get something back to allow that employee to participate and do extra work, frankly.
Well, frankly, the individuals who participate on these, and I've had a couple of chairpersons of these various SIGs, PLM SIG, the new SIG on configuration management that we've got, they were headed up by my people, and those people dedicate themselves to this and they work the overtime.
Right.
They are not slacking off on their job in any way,
Right.
shape, or form.
Right.
As a matter of fact, they're getting rewards from this from a professional perspective.
Right.
So
Sharon, I'll actually give you the last word. I would not tempt fate like Bob here. As you know, a relative new member, have your experiences so far, how have they been? And have you been getting kind of the return that you thought you'd get?
I have, and in fact, one of the things I'm really appreciative of is ASUG has this a program for champions of the organization, because what I want to do is really roll out more participation from Abiomed employees into ASUG so they can start, like you said, somebody from accounts payable
Right.
working with somebody else from accounts payable to discuss common problems. At Abiomed, we haven't been that involved. So what this program does is it provides tips and techniques and ideas of how to get employees involved in the whole process. And that's one of the goals I'm going to have this coming year, is to get more people from Abiomed involved in ASUG.
That's great, and we love to hear that.
Yeah.
Well, thanks to you all for coming in, and we really do appreciate and all your hard work that you do for the organization.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
welcome.
There will be some next great stories coming up, so stay tuned on asugnews.com as we are broadcasting live here from ASUG Annual Conference and Sapphire Now.